Welcome back to our Wednesdays, where we will continue to deliver. And, well, what we've got coming up now, Matt, is something absolutely brilliant, I think. As far as, like, it's just so nice to have something like this on WoW Wednesdays. I mean, we're very humbled, by all you guys watch, and also having such fantastic interviews with Mindflame and Pooks. I mean, they are all, champions of, what they do, Machinima, also Arena. But this interview we've got coming up, I mean, normally here at WoW Wednesdays, me and Matt are kind of locked up and we kind of stay in the studio. But a couple of weeks ago, we were unleashed on the regionals. And I had a chance to have a little chat with, the one and only game director of World of Warcraft, Tom Chilton. And now, everything you like about World of Warcraft, I'll just introduce him like this. This is how good he is, right? Everything you like about World of Warcraft, he did it. Everything you didn't like, someone else did that. And that's how good he is. Because when I spoke to him, he was brilliant. He was he's in charge of what happens in WoW. Like, and you got to think, right? At the same time, if you're in charge of a country, you're in charge of a lot of stuff, right? If you're in charge of World of Warcraft, you're still in charge of 11 million people's gaming experience. Not only that, but in charge of when things come out, what direction it's going to go. And so it is, it was like I was talking to like a mastermind kind of celebrity person. But I mean, let's get into it.
I can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait. Do your introduction. Build up the suspense.
All right, well, there we go. So this is the interview. I had a chance to talk to the game director of World of Warcraft, the one and only. He's known by Kalgan online, but also real name Tom Chilton. And here it is, my first chance to talk to him. So Tom, could you please introduce yourself to the WoW Wednesdays audience?
Sure. Hi there. My name's Tom Chilton, and I'm the game director for World of Warcraft.
Okay, so first question. Tell us about Tom Chilton. What's a typical day at the Blizzard office for you?
Is that after I wake up under my desk? Well, it really comes down to talking to a lot of people. I would say that the vast majority of my day is spent either in meetings with different groups, either on our team or related to our team. It could be customer service, it could be QA, it could be PR, it could be anybody pretty much in the company. But even beyond that, when I'm not in the meeting, I spend a lot of time in other people's offices, just kind of going around and talking to the team and, talking to the other designers, talking to artists and programmers, producers about, what it is we're doing, providing feedback, giving direction, and kind of making sure that, that we're all sort of, moving in the same direction and that we all have an idea of what we're doing.
Sounds fantastic. So you're here at the Blizzard Regionals. How successful has the tournament been in terms of classes and composition in representation and balance?
Right. Well, obviously there are a lot of different Priest-Mage Rogue teams that are in the tournament. I've actually been pleased to see that they haven't really been dominated, they haven't been dominating. Some of them certainly have been dominated, but really I've been hoping more than anything else to see a pretty good mix of different comps. We've seen a fair amount of PMR, we've seen a fair amount of cleave, but they aren't necessarily just blowing everybody away. It's good to see In Flames Warrior Warlock Druid team doing really well. Also, having come in second for European finals. It's good to see that Collective's team with the Shaman is also doing really well. Shaman Warlock with Rogue. So really excited to see these different comps. Really excited to see that things are competitive. Watching the different comps is always something that we're doing. At work, we're always trying to pay attention, keep track of what's maybe performing too well and what's not performing well enough.
And that leads me on to my next question, because obviously there is another big patch on the horizon. It's patch 3.2. What for you are the big PvP changes that are going to be impacting the scene as far as even arenas and classes are concerned?
Right. Well, some of the big ones are, the big obvious one I would say would be the resilience change. And that's really being done to, more than anything else, bring the speed of the game down a little bit. I think in even bringing the speed of the game down a little bit, the amount of the damage reduction should have a pretty big impact in terms of what strategies are viable, which aren't, that sort of thing. It could easily have impacts on, it's hard to predict exactly which comps it's going to favor or which ones it might hurt. Some of the traditional thinking is that it's going to hurt Priest Mage Rogue a little bit because they're so oriented around burst kills. At the same time, even in times when the pace of the game was a lot slower, like back before with Burning Crusade, we still saw Priest Mage Rogue as a viable comp, so I don't anticipate that it would really fall to the complete wayside. So we'll see what kind of impact that has. Hopefully overall it should should make for a little bit, for slightly longer games, so that some of them aren't over within the first 15 to 30 seconds. As far as other changes go, we have a lot of different, individual class changes. Some of them are being made with the intent to bring more caster comps into being viable. Hopefully, we'll see some more shaman comps being viable. We're also making changes in terms of the reward system to de-emphasize the 2v2 bracket relative to 3s and 5s. Even though that isn't specifically a class balance change, it's a change that we're making partially because of class balance reasons. We want to make sure that if a comp is able to get the best gear in the game, then there's definitely an expectation that the comp's going to be well balanced. And historically, that's always been very hard to do with 2s, because as the bracket size comes down, you lose a lot of those different synergies between different classes. And it was definitely the game was built fundamentally as a very independent class or interdependent class sort of game. So we want to make sure that we emphasize that as much as possible. And for right now, one of the ways that we're looking at doing that is with that change to the 2s comp.
Fantastic. So almost answers my next question I'm going to ask you anyway. From what's happened here so far at the regionals, with the European champions already being known and the Americans all still battling it out, what changes or updates are clear to you that are currently, on your mind that need to be changed, apart from maybe, if you can say, the resilience?
Right, absolutely. The resilience change to slow things down a little bit. As far as specific comps and classes go, it hasn't been really unbalanced. I've been pretty pleased with results so far. I could see arguments for toning cleave down a little bit, maybe the warrior DK pally kind of approach, or the hunter DK pally sort of approach. Arguments are there that maybe it's a little bit too easy to play, too easy to win that way. I wouldn't go so far as to say that it's actually a face roll comp. I'm not seeing that much drool on the keyboards out here. There's still a lot of really good players, and there's no doubt in my mind that anytime they slip up a little bit in playing it, they end up getting beaten and drop off. So we'll see. I do have to say that it's pretty clear to me that tilting your keyboard is an imbalance. So after seeing Enforcer play with this keyboard tilted about 45 degrees, we're going to have to do something about that. Maybe lower damage by about 1% for every degree of tilt you have.
I also want to ask a little bit about the team, since you touched upon this. Tom, Chilton coming to the regionals. Is there anybody out there who is you hold close to your heart, or a little bit cheering for a little bit here at the regionals?
Well, I'm trying to be as impartial as possible. I have a lot of players out there that have a lot of fun watching. Some of the players like Inflame are really amazing players and a lot of fun to watch. Guys like Azaziel out there is really awesome. There are different guys out there that are really exciting players, like do amazing things, and more than anything else, I just want to make sure that everybody, as a tournament, has as much fun as possible, and that the environment feels as conducive to good sportsmanship as possible.
Fantastic. So a lot of our viewers over on WoW Wednesdays are obviously also interested in PvE. Now, the new patch also brings us the Colosseum. This time, a little bit of a change to the PvE. We've got no mobs and also a new loot system. Where did this idea come from, and do you think it's going to be a big success?
Right. Yeah, I really hope that it's a success. What we're doing with the loot system, in a couple different ways is that on one hand, we're changing the badge system over so that we obsolete older types of badges. And that way we kind of help players catch up a little bit more quickly to the current tiers of content, while at the same time we're trying to make sure that the integrity of really hardcore guilds out there are a step ahead of the rest, and have better loot than anybody else that isn't beating the hardest content. Then we're also at the same time trying to implement this system in the Colosseum, where as you go through the different bosses, the fewer times you wipe, the more you get rewarded. We feel like it's very good psychology for the players to incentivize players to play as well as possible, and to kind of reward them, pat them on the back when they do well, because it gives everybody that extra incentive to not be the guy at the keyboard that's like not really paying attention and end up getting your whole raid wiped, and then everybody's mad at you and everybody's mad about the night and that kind of thing. So hopefully that'll go a little ways to improving that.
Fantastic. When we go back to Arena, A lot of emphasis is on class balance and fun and competitive gaming in Arena. Now, it somewhat seems that maybe there could be a slight lack of attention over towards the Battlegrounds as far as it helps you gear up, but obviously there isn't the kind of competitive play. Is there any thoughts or ideas of maybe even implementing a kind of an in-game tournament queuing system similar to that on Battle.net for Warcraft 3 into the World of Warcraft, so that these players could play in tournaments, organize your WSVG, AB, and also the new Battleground coming out, that they could win anything from special loot to even bragging rights?
Well, I definitely think that there's room for competitive battlegrounds. Something like rated battlegrounds is something that we've been thinking about for quite a while, and it's actually something that we're actively working on a design for. I'll give out more information on that in the future, but it is something that we're looking into doing. So. A form of rated battlegrounds that, it would need to be a little bit different than arenas. It's not going to be exactly the same way that the arena system works or anything like that, but a way for players to come together and compete and get, some of the best gear in the game by doing battlegrounds is definitely something that we have that we want to look into, something that we want to do. So it's definitely not intended that the arena totally takes away from the battlegrounds. We really want to support both styles of play as best as we can, without at the same time jeopardizing the integrity of the game by giving away loot too easily. We've kind of seen both sides of the coin at this point. But it's something we're looking into, but it's a kind of a separate topic, I would say, to talk about the ability to organize tournaments outside of the game itself. We are doing some work to facilitate the players being able to, or even outside companies being able to run tournaments for World of Warcraft for the arenas. There are definitely things that we need to do to help make that process a little bit smoother, and we're looking into doing that stuff.
Okay, so my last question then to you, well, almost second to last, I hope. New BG coming out 3.2 as well. Anything you can maybe tell us about this as far as your objectives and goals you've set out to what you're creating in this new BG, or maybe anything you can tell us about it that we haven't already read?
Yeah, I would say the goals and objectives really center around trying to make a battleground that feels very epic. We haven't really done anything like Alterac Valley, not as a battleground at least. We've done Winter Grasp, and that's certainly a big and epic kind of battle. Sometimes it's a little bit too epic to the point where it can slow things down. But what we really want to do is we want to make sure that we have a good balance of different battlegrounds out there. And, the last several battlegrounds that we've done are a little bit more medium to small scale. So things like, Strand of the Ancients and Eye of the Storm. So we want to bring back a little bit of that kind of crazy big battle feel in the battlegrounds. So we want to do that by combining some of the best elements of the different battlegrounds. We're doing that by combining the kind of kill the general sort of approach from Alterac Valley, where the ultimate goal is to kill the enemy general. At the same time, we're going to integrate some of the things like from Winter Grasp with the fortresses. So you use siege vehicles to break down the fortress walls and then get in there and kill the general. And then finally, we want to integrate some of the aspects of Arathi Basin, like the different capture points, while at the same time adding new gameplay like the zeppelins and the gunships that are out there that you can fly around and blast away from the cannons, and even jump out of the gunship, with a parachute into the enemy base and infiltrate from the inside, stuff like that. So hopefully that combination will all come together and be really fun.
On my Wednesdays, you may know of me as Too Good, the best warrior in the world, and also Zalma on Rogue, the worst rogue in the world. We're a formidable 2v2 team. I heard you're pretty sick at the arena yourself, and a lot of people were saying if I was to ever challenge you in a 2v2 bracket, I would get destroyed not only by you, but also by your girlfriend. Is this true?
That I don't know. If you are in truth the best warrior in the world, then it might be pretty difficult. I guess I'm okay. I'm not bad. I certainly like playing, and get a fair amount of practice playing with my girlfriend. It's a lot of fun. My fiance. We have fun. We enjoy it. I mean, we don't consider ourselves to be pro players, but we like it.
Maybe you're being modest, but I've heard you're good. Maybe we can test it out sometime. Maybe a bit of an exhibition match could be in order, a challenge.
Maybe.
We'll have to see on that one. Thank you so much, Tom Chilton, for talking to us at WoW Wednesdays, and I wish you all the best here at the regionals.
All right, my pleasure.